Hello, hi there, I am Thekla Petridou and this is my new YouTube channel, Psychology and Life. Last week, I posted a video on my channel with the title Parental Alienation and Narcissism. And quite a few people were kind enough to watch my video. I've been a YouTuber in Greek language for over a decade, and my new channel in English, launching my new channel in English has been challenging, but I do enjoy the challenge. There was one question underneath last week's video. Hi, hope you're well. Thank you for the video. The narcissistic parent will know a child is easier to manipulate and sometimes the damage is too far and not able to be undone. He means that the damage done by parental alienation from a narcissistic alienator parent to the child can be difficult to mend or heal. When the child is older and realizes what happened, it may be too late to say the truth or reconcile with the alienated parent. In your experience, has there been any successful reconciliation or reversing of damage and court orders? Hopefully, the truth will always come out. I want to say to this commenter who was kind enough to watch the video and pose the question that we've had a few case studies of adult alienated children that sought themselves to find the truth. And there has been a few cases of an alienated child reconciling and reuniting with the alienated parent when they are older. We have a lot of work to do on this issue, on this difficult situation, on this clinical and criminal situation of parental alienation, but I do have something for you today. There is a video in English which I uploaded on my Greek YouTube channel 2 years ago when I was asked by some of my viewers who have friends that their mother tongue is English to make a video. The title of the video is Parental Alienation and a Letter to an Alienated Child. Today, I will give you on this channel the video I made for the Greek channel 2 years ago, and in the description box of the video, I will put the link to the letter itself on my website. Thank you for listening, and if you know of people that are in the very difficult, extremely difficult position to have been divorced with a narcissist and having their children being alienated towards them, please share this video with them. It might be helpful to them. Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, hello. Hi, I am Thekla Petridou, a Greek Cypriot YouTuber, psychologist and author, and I'm filming today a video in English after a long time that I haven't uploaded on my YouTube channel any video in English. My YouTube channel is in Greek, but some people who watch it from overseas, they live in Australia, Canada, English-speaking countries, and they have some friends that they want to share some of the ideas we cultivate in this psychoeducational channel with their friends who unfortunately cannot understand Greek. So I have this particular request from a friend in Australia to make this video in English about parental alienation. Parental alienation is a subject that we have talked multiple times in Greek. It's a phenomenon which creates trauma both to alienated parents and alienated children in many, many cases of bad divorces or even bad marriages. What is parental alienation? Usually, after a bad breakup of a relationship that there is a child or children, or a marriage in which children were born, the one parent, the person that has narcissistic qualities and that he or she feels rejected and suffers from a narcissistic blow to their ego, they subconsciously and consciously turn the children against the other parent. This is a story as old as time, and as old as time that divorces became a norm. I am a psychologist in Cyprus. I'm 46 to 47 years old, and I've been working for at least 23, 24 years now. And I've reviewed many cases of parental alienation which happened like 100 years ago, in an age where divorce was not something very normal, something that happened quite easily. In those cases, like from 60 years ago, 50 years ago, 90 years ago, in all and each of those cases, parental alienation was always there. I mean, whoever decided to finish the marriage, either the man or the woman, they got rejected by the family system, and they got portrayed as people that are bad parents, dangerous for the children, people with no ethics, people that should not be in their children's lives. So either usually a man decided to get divorced in those ages. Nowadays, mostly women ask for a divorce, even though I think that in people that they are quite educated and cultivated spiritually and psychologically, you will listen about cases that people decide mutually to end their marriage, and they have a mutual agreement about this, which is I think that this should be the norm. This is what is respectful, this is what is natural, this is what is respectful to themselves, respectful to the relationship they've had for all these years, and respectful to their children. But in those times, back in time, traveling back in time, asking for a divorce or leaving the marital home, it was considered as a treason, and the person who decided this was thrown out of the family system, and their children were systematically educated or to hate that parent. Nowadays, even though we have a lot of social progress, we think we have, for the people watching my videos in Greek, they know, in my opinion, that in our society, in Cypriot society, Cyprus is a small Mediterranean island, which is like a state, and there is also a political situation here. We had an invasion in 1974 from Turkey. Half of the island is occupied by Turkish troops, and they made a state there that is not recognized internationally. But anyway, we are a very small island. The Greek Cypriot population is around 1 million people, and we are a small society. In our society, parental alienation is a very common phenomenon. Me as a therapist, when I see couples, now I don't have an office anymore. I don't have an office in Cyprus anymore, but when I used to have an office for nearly 20 years, I was sure that in most of the cases that people would decide to finish their marital relationship and they had children, I was sure before it happened that parental alienation would follow. It's so common. It's a so common phenomenon. And of what I read, parental alienation is quite common in other societies as well. And there is a lot of research and article writing in Canada, in some of the states, in the United States. Of what I understand, not all the states in the United States are of the same social and social progress, and some states are more liberal and some others are more conservative. But in some of the states of the United States, there's been some work being done by law experts and psychology experts. In Canada, there is a lot of progress there. I think that a Canadian court was the first court that took a decision that ruled that the alienator parent would get punished by the court for alienating the children, which is, this happened some years ago, and this was a landmark case. But also in the UK, it's a phenomenon that law experts and psychology experts try to grasp and understand and work with it. And recently in Greece, Greece is a bigger country than Cyprus, has almost 11 million people, and I'm sure that you've heard of Greece, even if you haven't heard of Cyprus, which is an island next to Greece, near Greece, and I come from the side that we speak Greek, and we have Greek national identity. In Greece, last year, there was a family law change that a lot of scientists worked towards that change. It's not the change that we wished for, but it's quite a better version of the previous family law that was a law that gave a lot of power to the alienators and no power whatsoever to the alienated parents. Okay, what is parental alienation? Alienation means to make someone stranger to the other. When you have a child that you are connected to as a parent or a caregiver, you have a lot of power over the child because your brain is much more advanced than the child's brain. And all your brain is functioning in a high level, because until the age of 26 in boys and the age of 26 in girls and the age of 28 in boys, the brain is still developing, and the frontal lobes, which are this part of our brain, and this is the most modern part of our human brain, they keep developing until that age. This is why we, after the recent findings of neuropsychology and neurology in the last decade, we psychologists started to consider that the age of the teenage years, they don't finish at the age of 18 or 20, but around that ages, 26 for the girl and 20 for the girls and 28 for the boys, roughly, because you are a teenager as soon as your brain is still developing and you don't have all the abilities an adult can have, because in the frontal lobes is where judgment is located. So when you are an adult and you are caring for a child, and the child is connected to you because nature has provided that children are sweet, and when we look at a child or an animal or a young person, we feel like sweetness and we feel like connection to that person, and so that this is the provision of nature, so that we take care of people and persons who need us. And for the children, if someone takes care of them and feeds them and bathes them and protects them from materialistic dangers, they adore that person. They worship that person. Usually the caregiver is the parent, the mother or the father. So when you are a caregiver or a parent and you have a child that is so very connected to you and looks up to you in so many ways, and they don't have the brain development so that they can judge by themselves if what you tell them is sensible or not, if the information you give to them are true or false. They don't have the ability to judge whether you are a person who is of well intentions or ill intentions. You can really work, not miracles, but you can perform terrible acts with those children. There is so much power in the hands and in the mouth of a caregiver or a parent who deals with children, younger children and older children, because they can affect their brains, they can brainwash them. So unfortunately, in many cases, when you finish a relationship that there are children involved, or a marriage, the spiteful spouse, the person with no spirituality and no kindness inside, that person will turn the children against the other person. I've seen cases, most of the cases are mothers who turn the children against their father. But I've seen cases, extreme cases, in which the father turned the children against the mother. And when I say I've seen cases, I mean I've worked with cases, because here in Cyprus, the first year in which I got into contact with this phenomenon as a judiciary term, it was in 2005, 2006, when I was working as a psychological consultant, as an expert witness in a case study in criminal court, not in family court. It was an extreme case in which the mother persuaded the teenage boy to make a false accusation that the father raped him. And it was a very, very, very difficult case. We worked too hard on that case, and the law experts and myself as a clinical psychologist, who I was asked to give my opinion in court. And I was trying to understand at that time, how can this happen? How can this be? How can a child be so brainwashed and hate his father so much that he will make up a false allegation, a false accusation, for reasons of history? That case went bad. It went south. My court testimony, it was ridiculed by the prosecutor, and the man was convicted wrongfully to prison. And then a higher court decided that he was wrongfully convicted, and he got out some years later, and he even got compensated by the state for wrongful conviction. But nobody can compensate him or his son about all this ailment that they went through. There is a non-existent relationship now, today, like 16 years later, because I keep contact with that man. I really care for him, because he went through hell, and I even visited him in jail regularly for the couple of years that he was wrongfully convicted until he was liberated. And he has no connection with his son. And he was telling me the other day that he goes on Facebook and he tries to take a sneak peek of a picture of his son graduating or working, or that. I mean, he watches his son's Facebook page to see, and he sees from the posts that he's grown now, and he says, I'm happy for him that he grows up, and he seems to be doing well, but I have no relationship with him, because the relationship was ruined by the mother in that case. So back in 2006, like 16 years ago, when I was asked to consult on that case, I had to start reading and to start educating myself to understand why that happened. In that case, I first had to be sure that the accusations were false, because in no universe would I testify as a psychologist about to support someone who would do such a terrible thing to their child. I worked hard reviewing the case with the medical doctors and the other experts that were gathered in the case. And when I was sure and that the allegations were false, and the medical doctors were the ones that they gave me this certainty that there was no proof of any physical damage, because the accusation was about full physical, you understand? And then I wanted to understand why this happened, because at that time I was already divorced. I have two adult children. My son now is like 24 to 25, and my daughter is 22. And we got divorced with their father 5 years earlier. To that court case in 2006. And we didn't have this kind of situations in our lives, in our children's lives. We were being civilized towards each other, and we wouldn't turn the children, the one against the other. Some other family members, extended family members, they were saying some stupid things, but their father and me, we didn't have any inclination towards ruining our children's relationship with their other parent. And the way I see it, I see it as a psychologist and as a mother, is that the child does not belong to me. Every child has half genes from the mother and half genes from the father, so their blood is 50% related to my blood and 50% related to their father's blood. So I don't have any power over doing anything to alter the relationship or even seize the relationship with that part of the family. I consider this to be really cruel and really bad for the children themselves, because every child has a human right to have a relationship with all their family members, and from both family sides. It's cruel and it's abusive towards the children, and it's poisonous and it's toxic to turn the children against their own blood. You are ruining your own children when you do this. You make a problem to your children, and you don't get revenge from your ex. If your ex, man or woman, if your ex cheated on you, if your ex disrespected you, if your ex was being an a-hole towards you, this has nothing to do with children. Nothing whatsoever. You take yourself to therapy and try to overcome any kind of abuse you have sustained during your marriage and even during your breakup. Take responsibility of yourself, your emotions, and the reasons why you allowed yourself to be abused. Take full responsibility of yourself as a human being. You need to do that. You ought to do that to repair yourself when you are traumatized from a separation, from a divorce, whatever, and let the children out. Let the children out of it. And stop making false allegations that a father or a mother abused their children, because if you make false allegations, then you create a problem for children that are really and truly abused by their parents or caregivers. So if you have if one in every 10 accusations is false, then you make a problem for the true ones, really. Because mistreating a child and abusing a child physically or sexually is very, 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 very dangerous, and it's criminal, and it should be prosecuted at all times. And my opinion, my professional opinion, is that parental alienation should also be criminally prosecuted. I think that it would be ideal if it was conceptualized as a judiciary term and being acknowledged by all family courts around the world, and alienator parents would be afraid and skeptical to say anything against the other parent and to act in an alienating matter, because that way they might get prosecuted. What about that? What about that? That would be ideal. That's a goal, but we are not there yet. We have a lot of way to go to update our family court laws and rules around the world, not just here. There are several variations how parental alienation can occur. It can occur in the case that the children reside with the alienator parent. In that case, the alienator makes it difficult or even impossible for the children to have communication and real relationship with the other parent. Or it might also happen that the children reside with the alienated parent, and the alienator is the one who is visiting the children or takes the children for some days or weekends in her house, and the alienation is done there. Usually when people reach to a therapist about this issue, their questions are very serious and consider the matters like that. Will this affect my child? Yes, it will affect your child. Parental alienation has been proven to be a trauma, to be psychological trauma for the child who sustains it. I have this very beloved colleague and esteemed academic, Dr. Aristoniki Theodosiou. She's also Greek Cypriot, and she has published 2 articles on the matter. The one is also a case study about situations where parental alienation can seriously damage psychologically and affect psychologically the child that is alienated. The alienated parent is surely traumatized, but at that case, when you have an adult, you say the way you view it is that that adult has made some choices. They had children with a person that was not respectful, was not balanced, didn't have any balanced personality. I'm saying again that narcissists are the more are the candidates to become alienating parents, alienators. I've seen and reviewed literally hundreds of cases of parental alienation, and always the parent that was an alienator met the criteria, maybe not for the diagnosis of narcissistic personality disorder the way it's inscribed in the DSM-5, but surely they all had narcissistic personality traits. Narcissism is a situation in which the person who is a narcissist, who has a narcissistic personality style, are very selfish. They don't have any empathy about other people's feelings. They view life as their way to receive more and more gratification from all sources, and they view their children, narcissists, view their children as objects that they have any power to exert on them any kind of abuse. Okay. So if you are an adult and you found yourself married or having co-parenting children with a narcissist, and then the narcissist turns the children against you and alienates you from your children, you have some sense of, I chose that man to be the father of my children, I chose that woman to be the mother of my children, and now I'm paying for my mistakes. But what about the children? That they don't choose who gives birth to them. They don't choose their mother. They don't choose their father. We choose for them to be born. We choose to bring them to life. So I believe that the psychological trauma endured by the children is far more dangerous and more important to consider than the trauma that the alienated parent has. I am not disregarding the trauma of the alienated parent. I'm just explaining why there is research done mostly on the trauma that alienated children face and not the alienated parent. There is not so much literature yet on the issue because I'm saying that in the recent couple of decades, the legal system around the world started to view this as an entity, parental alienation, and also the science of psychology have started working on it. There is no such diagnosis on the two basic diagnostic books that contain psychological disorders. The one is the DSM-5 and the other one is the ICD-11. There is not such a diagnosis yet, but there are relevant diagnoses. In DSM-5 there are around 5 diagnoses regarding children's traumatic experiences that can occur during parental alienation. So to the question, will my children or my child be traumatized by parental alienation? Yes, they will. How can I prevent from parental alienation to happen? You don't have any children with people that are not respectful. This is prevention. But if you had, there is not much you can do, really. I mean, if you got divorced or if you finished a relationship with a narcissist that you have children with, that you co-parent, and they decide that they want to destroy you and destroy your bond with your children, and they are so selfish and so narcissistic that they don't give a shit, I'm sorry about my expression, about the harm they inflict on their own children, there is nothing much you can do. Nothing much you can do. Right now, under these specific legal circumstances that we see in family court around the world, there is nothing much you can do. What you can do, though, is to try to educate yourself, psychoeducate yourself on the subject of parental alienation, read about it. Last time I checked, there were multiple communities online of alienated parents that they gave support to each other and information to each other about cases of parental alienation. You can join those online communities. Here in Cyprus, around 8, 9, 10 years ago, 9 years ago, we had this group of people coming together, and we founded this group of parents against parental alienation, and we do some activist work on the matter. We regularly visit the House of Parliament asking for changes on the legal system. We haven't been able to do much. We tried our best to educate people, to present our ideas in TV shows, on the YouTube, on my YouTube channel, for example. I have some of these videos that were done by this group of activists of parents united against parental alienation, but it's a long road. If you are an alienated parent, try to educate yourself, try to find support for yourself, psychological support. You need therapy for sure in order to be able to stay strong and don't lose yourself throughout this ordeal. What I've seen happening in cases of parental alienation that happened like 20 or 30 years ago is that adult alienated children, sometimes they themselves realize that the alienator parent is a vindictive and narcissistic person, and then they try to find the truth about the alienated parent. I remember this case of this young lady, which we met through our group here in Cyprus of Parents Against Parental Alienation. She was around her 30s when she realized that her mother was being a vindictive narcissist and that she on purpose ruined the relationship of her daughter with her father. As she went abroad, because her father was a foreigner, she went abroad to find her father, to reconnect with him at the age of 28, if I remember well. And she is strongly supporting the cause of prevention of parental alienation in other families. There is nothing much you can do if your child is already alienated. You can try to have some form of communication that is allowed by the alienator. I mean, you can email them or send them a letter or try to let them know that you care for them, that you love them, and that out of respect you do not intrude in their lives, since they gave you the message that I don't want to have any relationship with you. You do this out of respect, but you are there to wait for them whenever they want to come and meet you and get to know you and get to renew your relationship. You are always their parent. You always love them. You always care for them, and you expect them to come. I've written this letter in Greek. This letter on my website. I have posted it on my website. And I was kindly asked by the friend of the channel who lives in Australia, who wanted me to make this video in English, to read this letter and subsequently translate it to English for people who might be having this situation in their lives of parental alienation. So at this point of the video, I'm gonna pause and I'm gonna add another piece where I'm reading this letter in English. Okay, thank you for watching so far. This last part of the video is filmed on another day. That's why I have a different appearance and I'm filming it from my office. I'm going to read to you the letter to an alienated child. This letter was originally written in Greek like 4 years ago and posted on my website, theklapetridou.com. I translated this letter in English. I will also post it on my website, and I will have the link on the description of the video below, the description below the video. And I'm reading this letter to you and have a small discuss about it after I read it. Letter to an alienated child. My love, blood is thicker than water. You know that I love you. You have felt it, experienced it. You have seen it in my eyes that I love you. I am sure you did. I know that you also love me, despite all the rough patches that we went through in our relationship. I understand that you were found in specific circumstances with specific pressures by the adults around you, and I understand that you were affected. I understand you. I also understand that this mess is in no way your fault. You were found in the middle of a war that you haven't chosen, and you were traumatized. I take full responsibility for my part in all this. I was being a coward many years ago, and I didn't make things right or healthy before you were even born. But I'm also happy, elated that you were born, and I wouldn't exchange this with anything. I would never wish to go back in time and change your coming to life. You are valuable to me, my child. We have the same blood running in our veins. You are my son, my daughter, my child. I love you naturally. As nature commands, and as I choose again and again, every time I think about you and I miss you dearly. I miss you, my son or daughter. I miss your laughter, your joy, your humor, watching you enjoying life. But I do hope that you continue to feel joy now that we are apart, because childhood is all about joy and careless times and not for worrying. Don't get your head confused with the problems of the adults. They are not your problems. Your father will always be your father. Your mother will always be your mother. We are not a couple anymore, but this should not concern you. We broke up with your mother or father and not from you. We broke up with your mother or your father and not from you. It's a wrong tactic and unfair for you to be placed in the middle and have to take sides. Because this is not your battle. And actually, if us adults were mature, responsible and serious persons, there would be no battle. Because it happens in life for two people to become together, marry or have a relationship, and then to divorce or break up. Not everybody divorces. Don't be afraid that if you choose to marry when you are an adult, that it will surely happen to you. But the statistics say that 1 in every 2 marriages ends up in divorce nowadays. It didn't happen only to me and your mother or father. It happens to so many couples. And there are couples that manage after their breakup or divorce to be civilized and mature so that they do not burden their children with worries that do not belong to their children. Your father or mother and I, unfortunately, we are not able to make this. And you had to be in the middle. We made you be in the middle with the wrong choices we took and the right actions we failed to take. It doesn't matter who is more responsible and who is less. The important thing is that it is not good for you that you had to take the role of the defender of one of your parents. I know that when you were texting me angrily, you were not alone. I know that when you were shouting at me and threatened that you will hurt me, you did not say that because you meant it. You are just repeating what you heard around you. I forgive you all this, but it doesn't mean that it is for your benefit to be repeated. Our relationship started the day you were born, and it will last for the rest of our lives. This small, difficult part, I am sure that it will be forgotten in the future. Because I am sure that one day you will be able to see me as your parent and not the ex of your mother or father. Since at this point we cannot meet freely, the child with the parent, and spend quality time together, since you state that you don't want to meet with me, it's better that we stay apart. I do not wish to pressure you to do something that at this point you don't want to do. To protect you, and only to protect you, I do not insist to meet with you under these specific circumstances. To protect you and only to protect you, I do not insist to meet with you under these specific circumstances. To protect you. I love you and I want what's best for you. And because of all this mess that we adults created, it's best for you to stay out of this war. This stupid, unnecessary war that we adults shouldn't have even started, and we ought to finish it. Because it's not for anybody's benefit, this situation. We are all getting sad by it. And I don't wish that you get sad, my child. I'm your parent, and my responsibility is to protect you from unnecessary worry. I take the responsibility to solve my own problems by myself and protect you from them. It is not the child's responsibility to solve their parents' problems. The parent owes to solve their own problems and let the child serene and carefree to live her own life. You were not married with your mother or father. I was. I did not break up from you, but from your other parent, and it is my responsibility that I find myself in this position. I made my mistakes, not you. It's not your fault, and there is nothing you can do to make things better. Stay out of this stupid fight. Stay away. It might seem to you right now as a matter of life and death, but in a few years this story will not be so important, and you will grow up to understand that for a person to break up a marriage or a relationship that was not healthy is a basic human right. And breaking up from your spouse is not equal to breaking up from your children. You will understand this in the future. I am positive. When you grow up more, when you become independent, when you fall in love with the response, you will see what it means to be a couple with someone I love and loves me back. You will get to see and know what are the real feelings that keep a couple together, and that us, your parents, broke up because we did not have those feelings. Now you cannot get it, and I don't expect from you to get it. I think about you. You are in my mind daily, and I try my best to become a better person so that I am a better parent for you. And as of the unnecessary war that goes on right now with your other parent, I try my best to finish it as soon as possible so that we all can relax, and especially you. I'm so sorry that you were caught up in the middle of an unnecessary war. For a couple to break up is not the end of the universe. Blood is thicker than water. You are my son or my daughter, and no matter how many years go until we're back together, no matter how difficult patches we went through or we will go through, this never changes. We have the same blood in our veins. Our relationship will be for all our lives. A divorce is not ending the relationship of a child with their parent. You will see. You don't have to answer to this letter. You don't have to take sides in this war again. Stay away from this unnecessary fight, and I write to you again. Blood is thicker than water. I will always be your parent. And loving me doesn't mean that you don't love your other parent. Your other parent has also the same blood with you. You can love us both, like we both love you, even though we broke up. I apologize to you sincerely for what you had to go through. This stupid, unnecessary war for something as natural as a breakup or a divorce. We adults had to face it by ourselves. Each of us take care of their own responsibility and let you out of it. You have no responsibility whatsoever to solve my problems or your other parents' problems. Live your life and we will meet again. Blood is thicker than water. I love you. This letter, I wrote it, and it's an example on how to write an email or a written letter to your alienated child. And through what I wrote about the parent saying to the child, you can take the basic messages about parental alienations, the ones that we talked about at the beginning or on the first half of this video. Parental alienation is a very difficult emotional situation, hardship, especially for the children and for the adults involved. If you find yourself in this situation, please consult a mental health professional in your area. A mental health professional, preferably a psychologist, who has been experienced with these cases. I wish you my best, and I really do hope that one day parental alienation will no longer be an issue after a breakup or a divorce. I am Thekla Petridou, a Greek Cypriot psychologist, YouTuber, and author, and I made this video after a request from one of my viewers from Australia. Bye.